Have you ever felt like you're endlessly chasing a dream, always just out of reach? Like there's this invisible gap between where you are and where you want to be, no matter how hard you try to close it. What if I told you that gap is an illusion, a trick of the mind? Tonight, we're going to shatter that illusion and reveal the profound truth that your deepest desires aren't somewhere out there. They're already yours. The final step in conscious creation is unity, the unshakable knowing that there is no gap between you and your desire. There is no distance, no separation, only the illusion of one, perpetuated by the belief that you must reach, earn, or chase what already belongs to you by divine right. You are not manifesting something outside of yourself. You are revealing what is already yours by assuming the identity in which it naturally exists. This is not about belief alone. Belief can waver. This is about embodiment. And beyond embodiment, unity. In unity, you no longer hold your desire as a separate object of thought. You and the desire are indistinguishable. The desire becomes your natural expression, your default vibration, your very state of being. In unity, you are not hoping. You are not becoming. You are simply aligned. And in that alignment, the outer world must conform. To unify with your desire is to discard the illusion of process. You are not climbing steps to your goal. You are dissolving the idea that steps were ever needed. All unfolding is instantaneous in consciousness. Time is the tool that gives the illusion of gradual movement. But in truth, everything is here. Now, do you? The only question is, which version of yourself are you tuned to? Unity begins with clarity. What would it feel like to already be? Not to become, not to receive, but to be. What changes in your breath, your posture, your glance? What subtle shifts occur when the desire is no longer something to get, but simply something to allow? This shift is subtle. It's not marked by fanfare or explosions. It's marked by peace, a sense of wholeness, of rest. You are no longer negotiating with reality. You are no longer battling with belief. You are resting in the assurance that all you've asked for already exists in the timeless, spaceless now. You speak, move, and decide from the state of completion. You don't consider the odds. You don't analyze probability. You act as one who knows. And this knowing is not intellectual. It is cellular. It lives in the body. It hums through your field. This is unity. Most people live in a divided state. They affirm one thing and feel another. They visualize the end but worry about the mean. They speak faith but live in hesitation. The result is mixed energy, and mixed energy creates delayed or distorted result. But when you are unified, when your thoughts, feelings, identity, and actions speak the same truth, you become magnetic. The world bends to match your harmony. In this state, you no longer seek confirmation. You no longer need sign. Your state itself is the sign. You are the evidence. Unity isn't about intensity. It's about consistency. You hold the state, not because you are trying to manifest, but because this is simply who you are now. This is your chosen frequency. This is your dwelling place. Think of it like tuning a radio. Once you're tuned into your desired station, you don't keep adjusting the dial. You let the music play. The same is true in consciousness. Once you've entered the state of unity, let it play. Let it inform your tone, your reactions, your worldview. You will be tempted to check, to measure progress, to ask when. That is the old self trying to resurface. Let those impulses dissolve. Return to stillness. Return to unity. Even in moments of contrast, remain centered. The storm outside is not a reflection of failure. It is an invitation to deepen your alignment. Let each challenge become proof that your new identity is taking hold. The old world must tremble before the new world stabilizes. Unity brings certainty, and certainty creates speed. The more fully you unify with your desire, the less resistance remains. And the less resistance, the faster the outpicturing. So what does unity look like in daily life? It looks like consistency in thought. No more indulging the old story. No more revisiting lack, even for a moment. You do not entertain ideas that contradict your chosen state. It looks like integrity in speech. Your words match your vision. You speak as one who has, not one who hopes. It looks like decisiveness in action. You make choices that affirm your state, even if the outer world hasn't caught up yet. It looks like peace. In the pause, you're no longer waiting, you're inhabiting. You rest in the knowing that all is done. Unity also means emotional maturity. You no longer react to appearances. You respond from the end. You treat every circumstance as a canvas to reaffirm who you've already become. When your being and your desire are one, manifestation becomes effortless. There is no longer a desire, only a state. And that state generates the conditions that match it. You don't speak to the universe to get something. You speak as the universe expressing itself. You're not a visitor in creation. You are the center from which creation flows. This is not about ego. This is not about control. This is about surrender to truth, to your own creative essence, to the still, unshakable reality that what you've chosen is already yours. Unity is the last veil. The final illusion to drop is the idea that there is a gap between you and what you want. There is no gap. There is only now. There is only the self. There is only the chosen state. And once you live from that place, not occasionally, not temporarily, but as your new baseline, the world must reflect it. Because the world is not outside of you. It is within you, showing you your frequency. So unified. Choose the state and become it so fully that even your silence speaks it. So fully that even your rest affirms it. So fully that the old version of you becomes a distant memory. You are no longer someone who desires. You are someone who lives, who expresses, who embodies. And from this space, all things are added unto you. This is not the end of your journey. This is the beginning of creation from a new level. Not as someone trying to become, not as someone waiting, but as someone who already is, unified, certain, whole. Now. There comes a moment in the journey of self-realization when you no longer identify with the seeker, but with the one who has found. This is the final crossing, the shift from becoming to being. It is the subtle yet absolute pivot where all true transformation begins. You are no longer trying to become. You simply are. In this space, identity is not a mask you wear. It is not a costume designed to impress the world. It is the energetic architecture of your inner world. But your reality rises from this foundation. What you identify with becomes law in your universe, not because it is fact, but because it is felt. When you say, I am, you are issuing a command. Not to some distant deity, but to your own subconscious mind, the creative workshop of all experience. The phrase I am is the origin point of all manifestation. Every identity, every circumstance, every outcome flows from what you've chosen to place after those two words. This is why transformation is not about changing the world. It is about changing the self who is observing the world. If you see yourself as someone who is healing, you will always find new wounds to mend. But when you identify as whole, life rearranges itself around that wholeness. You meet people, events, and situations that reflect that state of completeness. When you identify as abundant, the details of your life must begin to match that identity. But this does not begin with more money in your account or better clients or external validation. It begins within, in the still moments when you say, without contradiction, this is who I am. And that declaration doesn't shout. It doesn't argue, it rests. Identity, when fully assumed, needs no reinforcement. It carries the weight of its own reality. There's no need to explain or convince. You simply live it, and the world mirrors it. This is why you must ask yourself, who am I being? Not what am I doing? Not what do I want, but who am I being right now? If your identity is rooted in lack, even the most polished actions will yield struggle. If your identity is rooted in fullness, even your mistakes will lead to gold. You cannot outperform your identity. You cannot manifest consistently beyond who you believe yourself to be. So you must choose. You must construct the new self with clarity, with faith, and with emotional allegiance. Ask, how would the person I've chosen to become walk into this room? How would they respond to this challenge? How would they speak, eat, breathe, sleep, and then become them? Not as an act, not as performance, but as truth. If it feels strange at first, that's only because the old identity is still echoing in your nervous system. That's not failure, it's feedback. It means you're stepping beyond familiar limits. Your task is not to be perfect. It is to persist. Persist in the new identity until it becomes your norm. Your nervous system adapts. Your emotions adjust. Your thoughts align. And then something remarkable happens. The world changes. It doesn't change because you fought for it. It changes because you stopped arguing with the truth of your being. You accepted yourself as the cause, as the origin. From this vantage point, life becomes a dance of reflection. You shift and reality shifts. You embody and the world responds. You no longer need to search for sign. You are the sign. Your state is the signal. This is why the final act of manifestation is always the assumption of identity. It is no longer about the object of desire. It's about becoming the one who naturally experiences that desire fulfilled. Let's be clear. Identity is not static. It is chosen and it is alive. You do not find your true self. You decide it. Your past has no vote here. Your former failures, your traumas, your patterns, none of them define who you must now be. They only describe who you've been. To be free is to realize that identity is fluid. It bends at your word. It molds to your assumption. It becomes whatever you have the courage to claim. Claim it wisely when doubts arise, and they will. They do not signal that the new identity is false. They simply reveal the residue of the old self. Do not engage in battle. Do not justify your growth to the voice of yesterday. Instead, return to your chosen identity as you would return home. Let every moment become a reaffirmation of who you now are. Let your thoughts, your posture, your expression, all tell the same story. This is not imagination as escapism. This is imagination as alignment. True imagination is not fantasy. It is the blueprint of identity impressed upon the field of experience. And when you consistently embody that identity, when your emotional tone, your internal dialogue, and your silent knowing match the frequency of your chosen self, the outer world conforms. It has to, not because you forced it, but because it has no choice. Consciousness is cause. You are that consciousness. And the moment you identify as the fulfilled version of yourself, the game changes. Life is no longer a proving ground. It becomes a reflection pool. You step into your days not with need, but with a clarity. You act not to get, but to express. You give from overflow. You receive with ease. Because who you are no longer contradicts what you desire. The two have merged, and that is the secret. Identity is the birthplace of all that you seek. So today, drop the struggle of becoming. Embrace the simplicity of being. Declare with your breath, your gaze, your walk, your stillness, I am. And let the universe answer in kind. When you stop hoping and start becoming, you initiate a complete transformation of reality from within. You're no longer chasing what you desire. You're walking as though it has already occurred. This is the distinction most overlooked. And this is where the power lives. To become is to embody. Embodying a state means you no longer look outward for confirmation. You carry the feeling, posture, and confidence of the fulfilled desire within your very skin. It radiates through your choices, your pace, your tone. It is no longer something you do. It is who you are. This shift is subtle, but it is everything. When you become the version of yourself who already has, does, and is the thing you once desired, you no longer are. You no longer affirm from lack. You move through life as the completed script. Think of it like this. Reality is not a sequence of causes leading to effects. It is a reflection of states. You don't get healthy and then feel healthy. You feel healthy and the body follows. You don't wait for love to feel lovable. You feel lovable and love shows up. Your state is the root. All else is fruit. So how do you enter this state of embodiment? Not by effort, not by repetition, but by selection. You select the state in imagination, and you step into it with emotional conviction. You let it color your inner world until it becomes familiar. Then you allow it to saturate your outer behavior. You do not ask, can I really live this way? Instead, you say, this is who I am now. And you stay there regardless of what the world throws at you. Because here is what most don't understand. The outer world lags behind the inner ship. It is not instant, but it is inevitable. There is a delay, but not a denial. During this lag, many falter. They peek outside too soon. They look for signs, for validation, for evidence. But the wise remain still. They hold the state. They know the movie has already changed. The old scene is just finishing its projection. This is where becoming is tested. Will you hold your posture when the old echoes still surround you? Will you smile like the one who already knows? Or will you fall back into the identity you left behind? To become is to persist, and not with strain, but with quiet assurance. Let your new state inform every aspect of your life. When you wake, wake as the one who has already received. When you speak, speak from that space. When you breathe, let it be with the ease of one who knows the manifestation is certain. Even in the mundane, reflect the extraordinary. This includes your environment, your room, your clothing, your habits. Do they reflect your new identity? Do you treat yourself with the reverence of someone who already has what they asked for? Or are you still preparing for a future that never arrived? Be now. Embodying the state also means releasing the past identity. You are not the one who lacks anymore. You are not the struggler. You are not the one who tries. You are the one who is. Let the old self fall away without resistance. You don't need to argue with it or fix it. You simply stop feeding it. And when those old thoughts creep in, and they will, you return. You shift back. You choose again. You do this not through force, but through familiarity. The more time you spend in your chosen state, the more natural it becomes. The more natural it becomes, the less effort it takes. And eventually, it is who you are. This is what it means to become, not a one-time act, but a sustained identity. Now consider your conversations. When people ask about your goals, your plans, your future, do you speak like someone who hopes? Or like someone who remembers? The difference is everything. The one who remembers speaks calmly, with certainty. Their words carry the rhythm of completion. Their energy is not searching, it is settled. You do not need to convince others. That would mean you still doubt. You do not need to announce what you're becoming. That would mean it isn't yet real for you. Instead, you become silently, powerfully, authentically, and the world responds. It must, because embodiment changes the broadcast. You are no longer sending mixed signals. You are now a clear frequency, and what matches that frequency will be drawn to you, not by chance, but by law. This law is not something outside of you. It is your very being. When you shift your being, you shift the law's application in your world. Let this truth settle into your bones. You do not become powerful by adding anything. You become powerful by remembering who you've always been. That is the act of embodiment, peeling back the illusion of lack, and standing fully in your own authority. And from that space, creation becomes effortless. You don't hustle for outcome. You don't chase timeline. You walk in alignment, and life arranges itself. And if resistance arises, and it will, you greet it, not as an enemy, but as proof that you're shifting. Resistance is only the old state arguing for survival. Let it dissolve. You are becoming. Not tomorrow, not once things align, but now. You already are the one you seek to be. So start living as though it was so. Not in pretense, but in truth. Let your actions, your decisions, your self-talk align with your new identity. And if ever you forget, return to the feeling. That feeling is the gateway. That feeling is the proof. That feeling is the new you. And the more you live from it, the more the world will have no choice but to reflect it back in perfect harmony. This is the art of becoming. This is the path of embodiment. This is how you speak to the universe, without words, without doubt, without delay. You become. To speak to the universe is not to raise your voice or to assemble the right words. It is to shift the tone of your inner being so completely that your reality has no choice but to mold itself around your state. If you speak from the state of already being, already having, already knowing, you are not merely asking the universe to respond. You are commanding the world to reflect what you have inwardly accepted as true. Most people whisper wishes with trembling hope, unaware they are still standing in the energy of doubt. They plead, pray, and push, not realizing the universe is not moved by intensity of need, but by certainty of assumption. The world does not bend to your desperation. It bends to your inner congruent. Imagine this, a radio station. If you are tuned to 101.5 FM, you cannot hear the broadcast from 107.9 FM on. It's not because the latter isn't broadcasting, it's because your receiver is not aligned. So too it is with states of consciousness, abundance, love, vitality, peace. These are all broadcasting now. But are you tuned in? To correctly speak to the universe is to attune your being to the frequency of the outcome you desire. And you do this not through forced thought or endless repetition, but through felt reality. The question is never, how can I get this? It is always, who must I be to have this? Once you answer that question and embody the answer, the outer world begins to synchronize. Your speech changes, not just in content, but in tone. Your body changes. The rhythm of your days takes on a different tempo. Why? Because you are now speaking not Ateto, the universe, but Yas, the universe. This is the essence of creative command, the fusion of identity and outcome. No separation. You do not hold your desire at arm's length, analyzing it, strategizing it. You bring it inside and when your assumption is total, your manifestation becomes inevitable. Let's go deeper. What does it mean to hold an assumption? It means to wear the reality of your desire like a garment, fitted so precisely that it becomes second nature. You do not question whether it looks right. You know it fits because it's yours. The inner commentary that once asked, "Will it happen?" is silent. It has been replaced by the certainty of, "This is who I am now." And here lies the secret most overlooked. You are not here to attract. You are here to express. The one who lives in fear is expressing fear. The one who lives in love is expressing love. The one who walks with the vibration of fulfilled desire is not waiting. They are delivering that fulfilled energy into the world with every word, every breath, every glance. Your reality is not being shaped from outside in, but from inside out. You become the channel through which your desire arrives. When you shift into the vibration of having, a beautiful paradox unfolds. You no longer need to chase. You are no longer concerned with time or how. You no longer ask for signs because your state itself is the sign. You are the proof. In this space, manifestation becomes less about creating something new and more about uncovering what was always available. You don't make the path appear. You recognize that it was always there. The fog lifts because your new state has better vision. Let's now speak of silence, the kind that follows true assumption. The silence of someone who does not need to be convinced. The stillness of one who no longer seeks, but knows. This silence is more powerful than any outward action. It communicates directly with the fabric of the universe. In this stillness, life obeys. Think of the rose. It does not announce its blossoming. It does not demand the sun or worry about rain. It simply becomes. And its becoming transforms its environment. The same is true for you. When you assume the state fully, you begin to influence reality without trying. Your being emits instructions far more potent than your effort ever could. This is the language of the universe. Being. Your work is not to be louder. Your work is to be clearer in who you are. The clearer your identity, the faster the world reflects. Now observe, when you look at others who have what you want, do you feel inspired or separate? That emotional reaction tells you which state you're living from. Jealousy is the voice of separation. Inspiration is the voice of alignment. Celebrate others as yourself in another form, and you draw yourself closer to their state. Judge them, and you reinforce your distance. This applies not only to people, but to situations. When something you want is delayed or seems denied, don't collapse into frustration. That reaction is feedback. It tells you that your state has shifted back into waiting. But waiting is not speaking to the universe. Waiting says, I do not have. Waiting delays. Instead, return, re-enter the end. Reclaim the feeling. It is always available. Understand this. You are not preparing for a new life. You are remembering it. The desire within you is not a random spark. It is a memory of who you truly are. When you align with it, you are not becoming something new. You are becoming more fully yourself. This is why assumption works, because it is truth remembered. So today, speak to the universe without words. Speak through posture, breath, rhythm, tone. Let your presence declare what is already yours. Be unmoved by what the senses report. They are simply reflecting your old state. And you are not that anymore. You are the new state. Return to it again and again, no matter what appears. And in time, your outer world will match the inner world you never wavered from. You are not hoping anymore. You are becoming. When you speak to the universe with conviction, with inner certainty, it must respond. But this is not a response in language or signs. It is a rearrangement of the very fabric of your reality. What you call life begins to echo your innermost beliefs, not just in occasional coincidences, but in the unfolding patterns of your everyday existence. The universe is not listening the way a person listens. It receives you through vibration, through the frequency of your consciousness. When your inner conversations carry tones of certainty, when your assumptions hum with the resonance of fulfillment, the universe mirrors that tone in form. It reflects what you are, not what you wish for. This is why true manifestation begins not with action, but with identity. You do not achieve your dreams, you align with them. The journey is not from desire to outcome, but from doubt to knowing. The most overlooked truth in this teaching is this: the state of being precedes the state of having. We do not manifest from wishing, we manifest from GD. To speak to the universe correctly is not to plead or bargain. It is to declare, and not from the lips, but from the core of your being. Consider the subtle difference between asking and assuming. When you ask, you affirm lack. You imply the absence of what you want. But when you assume, you imply a presence. You carry within you the tone, the mood, the posture of already possessing. That is the language the universe understands. You must become fluent in the vibration of fulfillment. The universe cannot be deceived by empty affirmation. It does not respond to words alone, but to the state behind the words. It hears the feeling tone beneath your actions. And if that tone is doubt, lack, or waiting, it will faithfully reflect that. To speak to the universe correctly is to embody your desire as though it were already a memory. You do not beg for what is already yours. You walk as the one who has. You move, speak, and respond from that place. This is not arrogance. This is alignment. Let us now explore what it truly means to embody a new state. It is not merely thinking differently. It is inhabiting a new world within you. Every decision, every emotion, every interaction becomes a reflection of your new self-concept. The outer world then is only a delayed broadcast of your internal frequency. You will notice that when you persist in the feeling of already having your desire, doors open with grace. Coincidences multiply. People, places, and opportunities arrange themselves with uncanny precision. But these are not miracles. They are mathematical. The outer world is obeying the law. So when you speak to the universe, speak with the voice of completion. Let your inner monologue reflect the reality you've chosen to occupy. Instead of asking, how will it happen? Ask, how would I feel now that it has happened? Then dwell in that feeling. Return to it often. It is the most powerful prayer you can offer. There is no need to speak of your desire repeatedly. In fact, constant discussion often reveals insecurity. True knowing is quiet. It is still. It does not seek validation. The tree does not beg the sky for sunlight. It grows in the certainty that light will come. So too must you act in faith that your inner assumption is already creating its outer form. This path requires vigilance, not fear but awareness. You must become a guardian of your state. Every interaction, every piece of information, every environment you expose yourself to is either supporting your chosen vibration or pulling you out of it. Monitor the input. Do not underestimate the power of subtlety. A single comment, a passing doubt, an unguarded thought can nudge you out of the state of having. Return swiftly. Forgive the lapse. Reassume the feeling. This is the practice. Even your silence speaks. The universe reads the energy of your non-action. So rest not in inactivity, but in deliberate stillness. The stillness of one who already has. That kind of quiet is louder than any plea. When you live in this state long enough, something curious begins to happen. The line between imagination and reality dissolves. What you once held as a fantasy begins to feel more real than what your senses currently report. And then, quietly, without fanfare, your physical world shifts. This is not magic. This is structure. This is law. The law of assumption does not require you to be perfect. It requires you to be consistent. You don't have to hold the feeling all day, but you must return to it again and again until it becomes your default. Eventually, your body begins to behave as though the desire has already been fulfilled. You smile for no reason. You respond to people differently. You interpret events through a new lens, and in doing so, you move reality into alignment with your new identity. This is how you speak to the universe, not in requests, but in residence. You reside in the end. You build your mental home there. You decorate its rooms. You inhabit it, and then the world must follow. There is no force required. No pushing, no grasping. When you're in the correct state, everything else is added onto you. The ideas, the actions, the timing, they emerge from the state itself. The state is the seed, action is the blossom, outer change is the fruit. Remember this always. It is not what you do that creates your reality. It is who you are when you do it. Align the being, and the doing will take care of itself. So today, choose your state deliberately. Speak within yourself from that place. Let your words, thoughts, breath, and posture reflect the assumption of your wish fulfilled. In this way, you are not just speaking to the universe. You view the universe, expressing its next miracle. Have you ever paused to ask yourself why some seem to effortlessly magnetize their heart's desires, while others wander through life, burdened by constant struggle? Let me share with you the truth that changed my life entirely. And if you allow it, it will change yours too. Close your eyes now. Yes, right now. Imagine this. What if everything you've ever wanted was already yours? Not in some distant future, not once you earn it, but now, right now. Can you feel that? That feeling is not fantasy. It is the gateway to a world very few ever truly see. It is the key. You see, the world around you is not some separate force shaping your life. It is the mirror of your inner speech. Every thought, every mood, every silent word you whisper within forms the clay of your unfolding reality. This is no metaphor. It is law. Years ago, I lived modestly in a cramped apartment. But each night before sleep, I would surrender to the sensation of luxury. I didn't merely visualize it, I felt it. I breathed the fresh air of imagined gardens, rested in the softness of dreamt linen, and heard the silence of peace. Before long, what had only lived within me bloomed into physical form. The world rearranged itself, and I woke up inside the reality I had claimed in imagination. Most people live in a trance, waiting for things to change, for someone to choose them, for circumstances to give permission. But I tell you, the power has always been yours. You are the operant power. You are not a visitor in this world. You are the very force that animates it. Ask yourself, when you enter a space, do you feel like a guest or like you belong? This has nothing to do with arrogance. It is about knowing who and what you are. You are not the roles you play or the conditions you observe. You are awareness itself. What was your last deep desire? Did you dwell in the joy of having it, or in the pain of missing? That distinction is everything. Desire is not fulfilled by focusing on the lack. It is fulfilled by assuming the state of fulfillment. Before the facts come, the feelings must arrive. I once believed that success came by toil, by strain, by effort. But I came to know the truth. Success does not cause the feeling. The feeling causes success. The wise know this and live from it. Each night before sleep, your consciousness drifts into its most fertile state. What you feel then will shape the hours ahead. Don't rehearse your worries. Instead, rehearse your wish fulfilled. Assume it fully, so deeply that your body believes it already is. What you assume to be true hardens into fact. Most reject this simplicity because they chase complexity. But I tell you, assumption is the engine of reality. Every desire already exists in what I call infinite states. Your role is not to chase. It is to select. Select the state of having. Persist in it, and it must outpicture, most react to life. But when you truly understand this principle, you will see that life reacts to you. The first moment of your day, what does it feel like? Dread or delight? That feeling opens the door to your entire experience. Choose it with care. Imagination is not mere fancy. It is the blueprint of what's to come. Feel now who you wish to be, and that being will be born. Feel first. Reality follows. You don't need the right conditions. You don't need approval. The moment you assume your desire as real, you give birth to its expression. Most wait for the world to change. But the world is not the cause. It is the effect. Change your inner state and the outer must follow. What you dwell on, you dwell in. You're known. Speak of your desires as if they already live with you. Not with hope, but with certainty. Hope is rooted in lack. Faith is rooted in being. Visualization is not about sight. It is about sensation. If you feel the realness of your dream, the world has no choice but to obey. Emotion is not a reaction. It is instruction. Your feeling sends signals to the fabric of reality. Dress, walk, breathe like the one who has. Not because you're pretending, but because you care. Pray, not in need, but in certainty. You don't earn worthiness, you accept it. You exist. Therefore, you are worthy. What you focus on expands. Treat small blessings with the reverence you'd give to great fortune. The world you experience is only the echo of your inner world. Change the echo at the source. Speak of your future as though it's already behind you. That's how you make it your present. Relaxation is power. Let go of the grasping, and your desire will meet you on the breeze. Begin. Now, the world is your mirror, but the face it reflects back is the one you choose to show it. Let this be your daily work. Not toil in the world, but mastery of your inner world. That's where all magic begins. And when you finally speak to the universe with certainty, with knowing, with assumption, it will not whisper back. It will answer.